In today's episode, we will cover several UFO sightings and alien encounters from subscribers of the channel. The first story comes from a viewer who wished to remain anonymous, who has had multiple encounters with gray aliens and also has provided multiple photos of strange lights in the sky, as well as video footage of a UFO sighting. In addition to this, the viewer states his mother as well has had contact, something we see in a number of cases. The individual states that they have had many alien encounters and UFO sightings in their life. In one of the emails to me, he recalled one experience. One evening, after coming home from work, I was playing video games on my computer when one of them stood on my balcony, watching me through the window. I just stared back. I was thinking in a very limited way and felt no emotion at all in that moment. Only after he vanished did I realize what I had actually seen. From then on, the contact became more and more intense. I believe they have the ability to limit our consciousness and that they possess many advanced capabilities. For example, if they place their hand on my head, I lose consciousness almost instantly. Despite this, I'm fully convinced they are not hostile. I truly believe that many abductees or contactees like myself have parts of their memory and knowledge deliberately blocked, not out of cruelty, but to avoid interfering too heavily with our development of life, to prevent trauma, or to keep us from feeling too much fear. Interestingly, I had contact just yesterday. They told me they wanted to perform a few tests, which they did, and that they've been observing me for quite a while. However, they said they became particularly focused on me after discovering a 90% anomaly during one of their analysis last year, and that I belong to a rare group, about 10% of those they study. My blood type is A negative, which is also rare, but I don't know if that's related. What I've learned, they dislike loud noises, and they seem to have a form of artificial intelligence-based consciousness or thinking. My mother also had contact with them multiple times, but she's far more fearful and traumatized by it than I am. Perhaps she wasn't mentally ready. I believe many people still aren't. Sometimes I'm still afraid, and sometimes I'm completely calm. I guess that's very human. But overall, they don't seem like aggressive beings, and that gives me comfort. In several email exchanges, the viewer discussed his lifetime of experiences with the Greys, his beliefs, and other thoughts. The viewer believes the Greys hate loud sounds, and frighteningly, he references their dislike when he encounters them and screams. As many have stated before, the viewer stated his belief that a hybridization program is underway, and he or she seemed quite confident in this. In addition, he or she stated the beings were interested in studying the human soul, something we have seen in other cases. The viewer stated that he or she believes showing no fear is important when coming into contact with them. Interestingly, the viewer believes the Greys eat meat or like meat, albeit I didn't follow up as far as the reasoning behind this. One final experience from the viewer comes from a time when the individual was living in Germany. The viewer would go out and walk at night and typically follow the same route, going by a gas station. In the following video, he or she videotaped a light flying by at a high rate of speed. According to the witness, many saw the light that night. Here is the video. What can we make of the viewer's case? In general, the story shares many characteristics with other cases we have seen, such as other family members having encounters and also medical experiments. Unfortunately, it appears this story is still being written for this individual, so let's hope things get better for he or she. In our second and third story, a subscriber of the channel named Gaurav contacted us and highlighted 2 UFO sightings he experienced as a teenager. Both share incredible features we see in other cases, albeit we have not covered many cases from India. The first story begins in the city of Calcutta in India in 2014 on Christmas Eve. Then, 14-year-old Gaurav, along with his father and his father's girlfriend, were driving home. That night, Gaurav's father and his girlfriend had been arguing about an event that they couldn't attend because of Christmas Eve. As they turned, they began heading through a section of the city called Newtown. At the time, Newtown was completely empty and under construction, with no businesses or residences. As such, it was completely empty of people and only lit up by the newly installed streetlights. Around 12 a.m., the argument had gone from bad to worse, and an uncomfortable Gaurav asked his dad to pull over, making up the excuse he wasn't feeling well. In reality, though, he just needed a break from the tension. As he walked out looking over the empty grass, Gaurav would see complete darkness straight ahead, along with several empty construction buildings off to the side. Gaurav hoped that stopping the car might allow the fight to simmer down, but as he glanced back, he could see it had only gotten worse. He then turned around and began looking up at the stars when something would grab his attention. Up in the sky, he would notice a triangular-shaped craft moving from his left toward his right in the night sky. Interestingly, the craft was using some sort of transparent camouflage to blend into the night sky. Gaurav would compare the camouflage to a magnifying glass as it seemed to enlarge or distort the stars behind it. The craft was completely silent and began to descend lower. At this time, it hovered right over him, around 50 feet above. The UFO was around the size of a bus, and he could see a red blinking light underneath it. At the time, Gaurav reported he felt no fear and was somewhat hypnotized by the object. After hovering just above him, the craft would then silently hover away from him. Gaurav would get back in the car and tell his dad what he just saw, but unfortunately, his already upset dad told him to stop acting childish. Just 2 years after Gaurav's first sighting, he would have a second. At the time, Gaurav had been having digestive problems and was told by his doctor to walk after eating to aid digestion. As such, in April 2016, Gaurav got up after eating dinner, put on some headphones and music, and walked up to his apartment building's rooftop for a late-night stroll. It was dark already, and the rooftop of his apartment building was quite big and empty at night, so it was a perfect place for a walk. On the rooftop, he would soon notice 2 yellow dots in the sky. He didn't think much of them at first, believing them to be stars, but that would soon change. He soon saw the 2 orbs were moving. The orbs began moving back and forth with one another in an odd pattern. Gaurav was stunned once again and couldn't believe what he was seeing. With the 2 orbs, one would disappear completely, while the other would slowly move east toward the west. Eventually, the craft moved directly above Gaurav, albeit it was very high in the sky. It's important to note here that Gaurav had left his phone in his apartment. Still, even if he had brought it with him, being so far away and at night, a picture wouldn't really be valuable in this sighting. The craft continued moving, and when it was a bit further away, another orb would fly in from the direction it was heading. The 2 orbs stopped right next to each other and circled around one another and eventually shot off in different directions. What can we make of Gaurav's stories? It appears more likely that he saw the same UFO or alien species on both occasions. There's been quite a few cases of UFOs camouflaging themselves in the sky. It seems on the first occasion it was doing this. On the second one, the crafts appeared high up in the sky, so perhaps they were aware they were being watched. To date, it doesn't appear that Gaurav has had any other sightings or experiences, but being quite young, in his mid-20s, it is possible he may have another one.